All right, everyone, listen up. We have an urgent security alert for the entire web development community, especially if you're working with Next.js and React. This is a really big deal, so let's jump right into what you need to know.
So yeah, a critical vulnerability has been found. And this isn't some minor bug, we're talking about a significant threat. We're going to break down exactly what that means, who's affected, and most importantly, what you need to do about it, like right now.
Okay, so what are we actually dealing with here? It's something called a remote code execution vulnerability, or RCE for short. And look, in simple terms, this means an attacker from literally anywhere in the world could run their own code on your server. It is pretty much as serious as a security flaw can get.
So let's dig into the nature of this threat. We need to really understand the core issue before we can even talk about the fix.
Okay, so here's the interesting part. The vulnerability doesn't actually start with Next.js itself. It's what we call an upstream issue. That means it's in a package that Next.js depends on, specifically certain React server component packages. You know, as server components have gotten more popular and powerful, especially with the app router, our apps kind of inherit their risks. This is a perfect and frankly scary example of that dependency chain in action. And for those of you tracking it, the official identifier is CVE 2025-55-182.
Now, the official advisory labels this thing as critical. And trust me, that's a word security researchers do not throw around lightly. So let's decode what critical actually means for your apps and your data.
When you break down the official security score, it becomes crystal clear why this is so serious. The attack can come from anywhere online, and it's considered low complexity, which is a fancy way of saying it's easy to pull off. But here's the kicker. The attacker needs zero special privileges. No login, no permissions, and they don't have to trick a user into clicking something. This is the absolute worst-case combo. An unauthenticated attacker can just hit your server directly. That puts your data, your code, your entire service at risk.
All right, this brings us to the question you're probably all asking right now. Is my project affected? Let's get right into the specific versions that are at risk.
Okay, here are the hard numbers. Pay close attention. If you're using any stable version of Next.js 15 or 16, you are vulnerable. End of story. Are you on the bleeding edge? Well, any Canary build from 14.3.0-Canary 77 and up is also affected. And as we mentioned, the root cause for all this is found in these specific versions of the underlying React packages.
But there is some good news here. Patches are out, and there's a clear upgrade path. It's pretty straightforward. For every vulnerable version you see on the left, you've got to update to the corresponding patched version on the right. So, for example, if you're on any Next.js 16 version, you need to get to at least 16.0.7.
Okay, so you know the risk, you've hopefully figured out if you're affected. Now for the most important part, the immediate fix. Let's walk through the exact steps you need to take to lock down your applications.
Here's your game plan, broken down into 4 simple steps. Step 1, open up your project's package.json file. Step 2, find your exact Next.js version number. Now, step 3, if you're on a stable version, that's 15x or 16x, just upgrade. Run npm install, yarn upgrade, whatever your flavor is, to get the latest patched version for your branch. But, and this is important, for step 4, if you're on one of those affected Canary builds, the advice is different. You need to downgrade to a stable 14x release, or specifically back to 14.3.0 Canary.76.
And hey, if there's any doubt left in your mind about how urgent this is, the official security advisory couldn't be more clear. They say, quote, all users of stable 15.x or 16.x Next.js versions should upgrade to a patched, stable version immediately. The keyword there, immediately.
So let's be absolutely clear about this. This isn't a suggestion. This is not some routine bug fix or a nice-to-have feature update. This is an essential security patch. It's meant to protect your apps, your users, and your entire infrastructure from a really severe and frankly easy-to-exploit threat. Acting now is absolutely critical.
And all of this really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This whole situation, which started from a tiny flaw in one set of packages and just cascaded into this massive, critical threat for an entire ecosystem, it really makes you think. In our world of deeply interconnected software, what is the true cost of a single vulnerability? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in, stay safe out there, and go patch your systems.